Alex Caruso isn't the biggest, fastest, or most athletic guard in the NBA, but he consistently gives elite scorers problems through his technique, IQ, and relentless effort. Today, I'm breaking down the defensive micro skills that make him one of the most effective defenders in the league. And all of these skills are techniques that any player can learn and apply. What's good, y'all? Sorry I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back. So turn those notifications on, hit the subscribe button, because I got a lot of dope content coming your way. I'm Anthony Goods, the Stanford gentleman, and I'm now an assistant coach at Arkansas State, but I'm still scouting the NBA. Today we're studying Alex Caruso's defensive toolkit, and he's got 4 key areas that make him elite. We're going to talk about closing airspace, early high hands, his own swipe and contest technique, and getting steals on the ball. Let's get into it. The ability to close airspace quickly on closeouts reduces attempts and drastically reduces three-point efficiency if the shooter gets a shot off. In closeouts, closing the airspace is extremely important on the catch. Let's look at the distance Caruso has to cover to disrupt this shot. He does a great job of getting there on the catch, disrupting the catch and shoot, and forcing him into a tough shot off the dribble. This is why NBA front offices usually check for stand and reach when they bring players in for pre-draft workouts. My stand and reach is much taller if I extend my arm straight up than if I were to extend my arm out. So by Caruso closing that airspace, he can get a much better contest on a taller defender. You don't want to hope they miss, you want to make them miss. As a 6'5 guard defending players 6'10, closing the airspace is extremely important to contesting shots off the dribble. Remember, you want to take away catch and shoots first and then maintain that distance if you can off the dribble. This will force a lot of shooters or scorers into bad shots, and you might even get a few more blocks out of it. For smaller players defending taller players, especially on post-ups, you definitely want to be as close to the body as possible so you can take advantage of your stand and reach when contesting shots on the block. But one thing you definitely want to pay attention to is you don't want to invade the shooter's landing space. Another technique that Caruso uses that we also teach at Arkansas State is an early high hand. Coach Pannone at Arkansas State defines an early high hand as the stick hand or the contesting hand being above the ball as the shooter's into his shooting motion. I personally think if the hand is at the level of the ball or above, it's an early high hand contest, but I haven't heard Coach Pannone describe it as such. So if a player is into his shooting motion and the contesting hand is below the ball, no matter how close it is, if it's below the ball, it's a late contest, at least in our book. However, this technique is extremely disruptive, and Alex Caruso does it on closeouts, catch and shoots, off the dribble, and even at the rim. I'll get into it in another video, but you'd be surprised how an early high hand reduces percentages around the rim and all the way out to the three-point line. It discourages shot attempts and often puts the shooter in indecision. And with shots at the rim, an early high hand is mandatory to disrupt the vision of the finisher. It's extremely difficult to guard on the ball in the NBA because players are so good at creating space, but if you can get a high hand above the ball, there's a good chance you're going to force them into a 20% shot. Sometimes the side of a high hand in the shooter's peripheral will discourage a shot or put the shooter in indecision. And the added benefit for the defender is your hand's already there to contest the shot and possibly get a block. What makes Caruso great at this is he usually has a hand up before the ball handler even gathers. Now we're going to talk about what makes Alex Caruso unique and an elite defender that I haven't seen from many other defenders in the NBA. He already has the early high hand, but what he does is he uses the early high hand to swipe, and then he contests with the other. I've seen him use this technique against many stars in the NBA, and it's extremely effective. It's disruptive to the shooter's motion because the ball can't take the normal pathway to a set point, which ultimately drops percentages. I love how he has the wherewithal to use the other hand to contest. This is obviously a more advanced technique, and I'm not sure I'd advise everyone to do this, but when it's perfected, it's definitely useful and disruptive. Caruso, being the best defender on his team, usually has to guard the other team's star player regardless of size. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm not sure there's another player in the NBA that literally has spent more time guarding 1 through 5. This technique is a lot easier when defending the post because you don't have to worry about moving your feet so much. You can prepare your hands and time the swipe a little better. But that's where I say he's so advanced because he can also do this off the dribble. It's extremely hard to slide with the ball handler, stop your momentum, swipe with one hand, and then get a contest afterwards. This technique gives the shooter multiple things to think about before the ball has even left his hands, which is one of the reasons I love it. You definitely don't want to get fouls, but if you're a high-level defender with some body control, you might want to add this to your bag. Lastly, we'll talk about how Caruso gets his steals on the ball. Stealing the ball from ball handlers is definitely a skill that can be perfected. You have to think each time the ball either hits the ground or leaves the ball handler's hands, it's a loose ball. So if you can time it correctly, you can be really disruptive and get a lot of steals. Alex Caruso has elite timing and hand speed. You'll see Caruso time the ball handler when he's within striking distance to reach. You never want to put yourself out of position when trying to steal the ball, but if you can get good at timing a ball handler's cadence, you'll realize there are many opportunities to go for the steal. Again, closing airspace and being within distance to go for the reach is extremely important here. And of course, Caruso couldn't be normal, and he even got off this double swipe steal where he reached on one side and knocked it loose from behind. This is extremely difficult and risky, but if your hands are quick enough, it can definitely work. But ultimately, what ties all these techniques together is Caruso's motor, his ability to make multiple efforts on every possession. This is what separates good defenders from great ones. Most players give one effort and watch the result. An elite defender like Caruso will give 3 efforts on a single possession. And it's not just a halfway effort of just doing the job. He's doing it with urgency. He's not just thinking about the steal or the contest. It's about the recovery, the help, and the extra rotation. So this is what makes Alex Caruso elite. You have to think he's the best defender on the #1 defensive team in the NBA last year, which happened to win the NBA Finals. There's a lot of things, if you really take a deep dive and you study these type of players, you can take and add to your game on the defensive side of the ball. With the right amount of effort, anybody can become a better defender. I hope this video was useful. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Your support means a lot, and I'll keep more content coming your way. And we out.